But we kick off with an exclusive interview that Rangers fans can't afford to miss. The club's chief executive, Charles Green, has told Jim White he wants UEFA to reduce £3 million of debt left over from the old regime at Ibrox. Green's also interested in the idea of the supporters owning 50% of the club, and he feels he's finally winning them over after a period of being forced to stay in Glasgow's safe houses.
Part of the conditions that Newco have got to meet to satisfy SFA membership is that there are certain old club debts to European clubs, and it's not inconsiderable. It's about £3 million that's been accumulated, and part of the historical baggage. I mean, of course, these are old code debts that Newco's got to face up to, and this is the frustration that we've had as a group, where at times we're Newco, so we have to sit in this particular box. However, when it's convenient, we're still old co, and we have to suffer the sins of the fathers, and that's really the frustration we've had. But nevertheless, what I want to go and say to these clubs, as well as UEFA, is look, we're here for the long haul. We want to be honourable. We are people who face up to responsibility, but we'd like some help in meeting these, because we do want to get Rangers back to the top of the pile, and when we do get back into Europe, whether it's in 5 years, 10 years or 20 years, we want to walk back with our heads held high.
So, Charles, do you want UEFA to waive those debts, or at least in the short term reduce them, the old co debts?
No, we don't want them to be waived. We don't expect them to be waived. And, you know, part of me said, well, you know, why should a club waive its debts when it's done its thing honourably? Equally, I think I'd like for clubs and for UEFA to recognise that these are not my debts. This is a gesture, and for them to work with us where we can come to some amicably agreeable settlement and work forward together as friends. I'm trying to do a job that rescues Rangers for the fans and for the people who own this club. And we have people who've got shares, but they're not the owners. The owners of Rangers are the fans.
And the fans can end up playing a big part in this regarding ownership of Rangers?
They can. I've said they can own up to 50% of this, and, you know, again, if fans choose not to buy the shares, that's their right. I've said all along we can't force them to do that, but the opportunity's there. We will have fulfilled our promise to fans, and that's the next step. We need to get the season tickets dealt with. We need to get Alistair playing football. There's a cup game in less than 14 days, and then following that we want to move on with the share issue.
Do you feel, Charles, you're beginning to win over the Rangers supporters? Because many of them were sceptical. Who is Charles Green? Who are the people behind him? Have they got funding?
Yes, I think, you know, over the last few weeks there's definitely been a movement, and the mere fact that I'm now living in a flat in Glasgow as opposed to moving from safe house to safe house is vindication of it. Indeed, I had my first meal out since May the 13th, where a lady was having her 16th birthday and invited me across to join her and a group of friends. So that was, to me, the first sort of Glasgow welcome, and says to me that fans really now are understanding better. But we knew this wouldn't be an overnight thing. We knew that fans had been let down. There is huge mistrust because of the history with, you know, Craig White and to some extent David Murray. And we haven't tried to push people where they didn't feel comfortable. But I think the sensible fans now see through this morass of rubbish that has been fed to them over the last 3 months and see that we have delivered everything that we said from May the 13th, when I did my first interview at Murray Park, we've delivered on.
Charles Green. He told Jim White that he wants UEFA to reduce £3 million of debt left over from the old regime at Rangers. Green also made it clear that Craig White has no role in the Newco.
I've met Craig White 4 times. The last time I spoke to him, he called me to say well done after we'd done the deal. You know, Craig White is a guy who I think had the right intentions, but, you know, didn't have the resource to deliver at the end. And, you know, unfortunately for Rangers fans, the club got into a mess. But, you know, I don't speak to Craig, and he's not part of the consortium, which is what my board colleagues will be telling and showing and proving to the SFA today. And of course, you know, we still have these rumbling issues with John Brown. We had a fans meeting last week where we took the proof of title for Murray Park and Ibrox, that Sevco owns them, that Craig White's not an investor. And these are distractions. These things need to end so that we can all move on.
And finally, Sir David Murray, do you have dialogue with him?
No, I've never ever in my life spoken to David Murray. I've never met him, never spoken to him. I have no reason to or no requirement to.